Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Frank here on American Eagle Rises for Thursday, the 12th. Yeah, the 12th. Hey, we might get paid tomorrow. Yeah, you gotta celebrate the small victories, because we get a small paycheck once everybody gets their cut. Man, you bust your ass, and then you got the tax man takes like half your shit. I gotta buy food. I gotta have a house. My house is a little overkill for one guy, but hey, I could rent for about the same and it'd be smaller. So no. One day we'll sell it, but that's when Frank's old and needs help or something. So yeah, guys, we got a couple of good. I think we got a couple of good things here. So let's do our traditional market update stuff. Yeah, I went walking, so I wore my Stormtrooper shirt. If you don't like it, whatever. Hey, I don't have the Trump head on. I had it on earlier though, but cooling off. Yeah, so let's start off with that 10-year Treasury TNX ticker. Wow, that went down 5 basis points. Down to 4.36. That's actually that's some pretty low levels, actually. Yeah. That's not too bad. It's right around the 50-day moving average. Like I said, 5.5 or 4.5, so they're really going to want to come down. And like 4%, they don't want anything below 4%. They won't tolerate that for long. So the dollar did lose, and it is finally the lowest it's been in quite some time. So we haven't been this low, and we're at 97.8. We haven't been this since March 31st, 2022. So yeah, it's been about 3 years. Yeah, it's amazing how strong the dollar's been. In that time frame, yeah, it's kind of got some local highs and some local lows, but yeah, anyway, prior to that, it was like during the 2020. Yeah, okay, so it's kind of odd that finally the dollar's starting to break down. That's what happens when you just print money till the cows come home. Yeah, so looks like the overall market, SPY just clawed back a little bit. Let's see, DGI, Dow Jones Industry Index. Yeah, they all kind of gained about a quarter or about 0.5%. So nothing spectacular from stocks, but Bitcoin did lose 2.5%. Who the hell knows what's going on with crypto? That's kind of odd. It kind of tends to follow the market. It's crypto, it's Bitcoin, whatever the hell. Gold did get a little bit. 1.25%. Still hasn't really gotten back to the high, but it's stair-stepping slowly and surely. Silver put on a very small gain. But noteworthy. So that's, if it can continue to trade here at this levels, then yeah, we'll probably keep seeing that go up. It should be following gold, but the silver to gold ratio is ridiculous right now. So if you want to, I'm only saying. But yeah, I think gold kind of amid global. Amid global risk, there's always so many global risks. Now, we'll briefly touch upon that, because it didn't really say too much here in the news. So, Trump's been trying to get this nuclear deal with Iran, and it's just kind of not really going as well. And that BB guy, whatever that Netanyahu guy from Israel, he ain't making things easier. So, I don't know, Trump, you gotta like put that guy in his place. So anyway, I can kind of understand Iran's position here. Iran probably wants to make a deal, but in the same breath, they don't feel that they're probably trying to shake out what Trump will do, because traditionally the United States would back Israel, right? Because not who, whatever that guy, they're going to want to strike Iran anyway for any reason. So that doesn't mean that U.S. has to support the strike or anything like that, right? But I don't know, right? Like, it could go crazy, right? So Iran probably wants some assurances, and I'm not sure what those assurances are, because they could be asking Trump, like, hey, can you make sure Israel doesn't strike us? And Trump's like, I wish I could, right? You know, probably Trump's like, hey, I won't initiate the fight, but I can't stop Netanyahu, right? So Iran might not do anything. I don't know, man. We got real close on that. I don't know, man. Come on, Iran. I mean, it's funny that I'm actually rooting for Iran. I'm only doing that because Israel's going to do what Israel wants to do. And yeah, okay, right? You know, they got, attacked or whatever, right? But they also bully around, and they kind of, you know what I mean? They're like the instigator, right? Like, maybe they didn't punch the first punch, but like something happened, and oh, hey, now we get to land the first punch because this happened, right? That's kind of what Israel does. We're doing this only to protect ourselves, and then why are you launching an attack? Like, Iran is so far away. Yeah, okay, Iran funds these freedom fighter terrorists or whatever you want to talk about, what those are, right? But it's the Middle East. Trump, get us out. Get our embassies out. Get out of Iraq. Just tell Iran, be like, hey guys, we're not going to attack you guys. We don't know what Israel's going to do, but we want to make a deal. I don't know. I don't know what Trump can do, but I tell you one thing, if Israel pulls a damn trigger, that's not good. And I hope if that's the case that Trump just says, hey, we're not getting involved. I hope he does that. I really do. I think that's what he would do. I don't know if he can do. You know what I mean? That's probably one of the most touchiest areas and I don't want to think about too much because it could really go bad, right? So, yeah, we're going to think happy thoughts there. So, but, I mean, the market kind of shrugged it off, if you will, guys. It's almost like, did they just float this kind of, and it's not on, oh, I had a pretty big lag there, guys. I hope that is still going. I'm gonna, guys, if this thing, I'm gonna lose my shit if this video is not. That's like one more thing that's gonna just make me quit doing videos, guys. I can't. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into it right now. Anyway, let's get back on track, right? Sorry about that. But right now, the market doesn't seem to be concerned with it. It did buy. The dollar should have strengthened, if anything. That's the odd thing, is that the 10-year Treasury yield went down. So that's kind of like, hey, they want a little bit of safety play. So that kind of makes some sense. But with the dollar losing some value now, maybe the dollar, again, it's more of a relative strength thing. So maybe a different currency, just strengthened against the dollar. So that's why the index is down. But typically, when there's global tension, normally there's a flight to safety, and typically the dollar, might either kind of gain or kind of stay neutral, but the treasury yields will go down. I don't know, but the overall market seemed to be okay. Like nothing major. Like it wasn't a big sell off. Like stocks now again, maybe the Federal Reserve did some crazy shenanigans, but I don't know. It's something to be aware of. I don't. Again, out of the things to worry about, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I don't even know how much worrying we can do about it because I don't know if it's really going to do us any good. But please, Mr. Trump, President Trump, please try to get that nuclear deal with them. Obviously, you do good deals, and you kind of pull things, kind of like out of the last second. So, if failing that, President Trump, don't get us involved in another damn war in the Middle East, please, for fuck's sake. We got too much shit we got going on here, right, Mr. Trump? Like we have to secure here. We need to be strong. We need to clean up here before we get involved anywhere else, right? Someone comes and wants to punch us here, that's a different story, right? But no, if Israel gets attacked, no, we ain't doing shit. We ain't doing shit. Okay, Trump? Don't give him any more money. Well, you probably have to give him money, but not more than you need to. I don't want another goddamn Ukraine shit. Yeah, well, what's going on with Ukraine? Come on, what? End this thing. God damn it, man. Yeah, so anyway, the other news that I wanted to get into, which kind of got me a little bit more excited, because it's kind of affects me a little bit more, and hopefully this can be a springboard for more good stuff to come. But it's good that this came out. So I did see President Trump actually signed into law a couple of, and where's it at? Of course they move all this stuff on me. Oh, you gotta be kidding. But President Trump signed off on a couple of the EPA emission things and the EV mandate that's in California. So those are... So if you guys didn't know, it was really stupid. So in California, I think I don't know if it was this year or next year, they basically... You couldn't buy an internal combustion engine by a certain date in California. Now, I'm not sure how the regulation would have applied to used cars and stuff like that, but I don't know. Maybe there was something out there, but Trump killed that. And it looks like he also walked back some type of emissions, which should have been, to be honest, it should have always been, that none of this shit should have happened. I'm sorry, Biden kind of gave this shit to Gavin Newsom, and that was Gavin Newsom's bullshit, right? So, but the problem was, it wasn't just local to California. A lot of that shit was why, especially my company, General Motors, that's why we put a lot of, I think we put a little too much in, but yeah, we still have a pretty big portfolio of EVs. I don't know what we're actually going to do. We did announce the other day, we're going to spend a $4 billion in plants in the United States. I believe a couple are in Michigan. There's actually not that far from me. There's a Lake Orion plant. It used to build the Bolt and a couple of the smaller cars. I'm trying to remember. They're not really building anything there yet, so they're trying to figure out what's there. I can't really say what the hell we're gonna put there, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be an ICE vehicle. I don't know which one. And maybe they might have an EV there. I don't know. I would think you want one plant that kind of does a gas car and another one that does EV. But I don't know. Maybe maybe because they're like redoing that plant anyway, I believe, and maybe it's already set up to do, but I don't know, right? But maybe we can change. But I think there's also I think we're putting something in Oshawa in Canada. I'm not 100% sure. We were gonna do something, and then we kind of like did one of those. We made too many changes, so like I haven't caught up to like which shell is going where over there. Because I thought we were gonna build some light, like some trucks. I can't remember, but I don't know if that got clawed back or not. I think they're doing another one in. I don't want to say Wentzville. There's something going. Yeah, there's a couple of things going on here. So this is very helpful. Thank you, President Trump. I wish this would have been done a couple of years ago. Obviously, this puts a monkey wrench into what I call the fifth column at General Motors. There's a good YouTube video out there. I don't agree with everything in the YouTube video, but he brings up a lot of good points. He does talk about an agreement that GM did with, I believe, a Chinese company. I can't remember the name. And there was some, what both both partnerships were at, and it wasn't really the greatest deal for General Motors. At least at the time, they thought it was great, right? But long term, so whatever, water on the bridge. That's just we can't recoup from that, but. Because a lot of the technology that was in China was actually General Motors stuff. So they kind of, hey, we're going to build electric vehicles, right? So it all got sent over there. And then they, like, made the technology and proved it out. And then we were bringing their... Because they had other vehicles. So they had, like, their other... And then we started bringing it over here. So... Now, here's the thing, right? This is where, is GM a Chinese company or a U.S. company? So it kind of makes sense with all this weird tariff talk about, like, which things were impacted. And, Mara was probably in a very weird position of, like, trying to be transparent, but then also saying, well... Yeah, I'm the CEO of General Motors, but I got marching orders from someone. I don't know, right? She'll never admit that. You might have to be in her house, and you know what I mean. Like that, no one would ever, especially our board. Even if it's like I said, you would have to catch them red-handed, and they'd probably still lie if they're catching. So that's actually really, really, really good news. Because number one, we need this. Let's just face it. I mean, I wish GM could face this. I think they slowly are. So I will at least give the company credit. But I think it needs to do this realization a little quicker. I mean, I don't know. There's also some other things going on. General Motors bit off more than it's chewing. And we know there's going to be head count reduction. So, I mean, some of this stuff was coming, but it's just getting worse because of whatever the hell was going on. So, too many plans in motion. With that said, right, these EVs, they just cost too much. Like, I mean, it's hard to buy a brand new, internal combustion engine vehicle. Whatever the car you have in mind to buy, right? If you wanted an EV, it adds a minimum of 10 extra grand. Like it costs, 10 more than what, So let's say, oh, well, I want this car. Oh, it's 35 grand. If you want an electric, it's going to be at least 45, maybe even 50. And it's like, no, none of the managers they didn't bat an eye. It's like, we didn't worry about it. So that's why I call, like, there's shenanigans. I don't think the company at a high level, that's why I say, who was our true customer, right? I don't think it was the end U.S., right? It says, like, oh, well, we're going to sell it at this price, right? So if it just happens to be a U.S. customer, it just happens to be a U.S. customer. But I don't think it was. I don't know. Maybe we were planning on selling them all in California. I don't know. Maybe that's why. right? Maybe that's why they put all their eggs in this basket. And California, they're going to need 3 million EVs every year. We can probably get 10% of that, right? Maybe that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad that we are. And not only on top of that, we're investing in some of the plants here in the United States for once. Oh my Lord. I remember how many, GM had so many, like just automotive, right? Even when I was younger, like I remember probably like the first year out of college, right? I started as an engineer in January '97. GM had a lot more. I mean, obviously, even before that time. I'm just saying, if I compare today, '97 to today, it's like it's at least less than half, right? So they had at least double. And they were all. I mean, they built tons of vehicles, right? But obviously, even further back in the '70s, probably going into the '60s, right? That was the heyday, right? The '50s and the '60s. That was the heyday. You couldn't make enough damn cars for the United States automotive. Just for this market here in the United States. That was the demand for cars back then. But anyway, I'm glad. Is it going to be enough? No. It's a hey, here's the plan. We gave you a little bit of boost in the arm, and let's keep it going. I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers that this is just enough to just, like it's an asteroid, but it's about to hit Earth, right? But it's really far away, right? So all you need to do is just a little push, right? And then finally gets off track and misses Earth, right? That's all. It just needs a little, obviously the closer that it is, the bigger the push. So how far, how close is the asteroid? I don't know. I'm looking at the screen, my camera here, so I can. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could be all toast anyway, right? I don't know. That's why you gotta save your money, folks. All right, 22 minutes. That's a little longer than I wanted to go on, but I hope you guys had a good day. I know not much American news first, a little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, Iran and Israel, that's kind of can affect us, right? Automotive industry, right? Even though I work for the automotive industry, bringing back, at least trying to bring back some stuff. Again, is it a drop in the bucket? Maybe it's 10 drops in the bucket, but, the bucket ain't going to get full unless you put water in it, right? So, come on, let's keep putting water in the bucket, right? So instead of putting drops in, let's go to the spigot and turn it all the way, man. I'm telling you, we have good workers, man. Obviously, it's a union. But I there's a couple of, especially there's two plants in particular that they're definitely unionized. But these two plants bust their, like, I remember seeing the automotive workers like in like the '90s and like in like early 2000s, like they were kind of lazy. Not all of them. I'm just saying, right? It was like if it wasn't their job, they didn't do it. So that must have changed over time. But we have a couple of plants, and like, man, there's just stuff that, it's not acknowledged that they actually do it, but they gotta get these cars out, right? So one way or the other, you got to get them out. And if you don't do them right, they don't sell. If you don't sell, you ain't got no job, right? So there's always a few bad apples running around, but I've been to a lot of our plants, and the 2 truck plants, actually 3 truck plants I've been to. We run the lines really, really fast, like those ones. Like there's a typical, like what the UAW says, like these plants are pushing. They're pushing that limit and then some. But yeah, a lot of these people, they're very proactive. They actually come up with solutions. It's just sad that, especially when you're new, because you kind of get like the shit job, then you got to work on it, and then there's kind of no. I think GM needs to kind of work on that. And I don't know. Maybe that's because there's a UAW, but a lot of them have a lot of ideas that can work and can do better. And it's just how do you reward that when it's like they won't get it anyway because it's UAW? I don't know. Anyway, I've babbled long enough trying to solve the world's problems, but anyway, let's at least keep going in the right direction and keep taking steps, right? It'd be nice if we can take 10 steps a day, but maybe, some days it's one step, right? Some days it's 2 or 3, right? But let's keep going. We'll have setbacks along the way. Things are never perfect. And let's just keep stressing. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go every day, right? Go, go, go. Keep it moving, all right? Let's find that stop button. Hey, it's all white because my screen turned into white. All right, I'll see you guys later. All right, bye.